have really good news. Today, our nation has achieved a medical miracle.
I am pleased to announce that late yesterday, the FDA authorized for emergency use the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine.
After months of heartbreak, hundreds of thousands of grieving families and millions facing economic ruin, the US is finally about to administer its first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Make no mistake, distribution has begun. Right now, boxes are being packed and loaded with this vaccine needed to defeat the enemy, COVID.
Healthcare workers will be the first in line for the jab, followed by society's most vulnerable, the elderly and essential workers. It won't be until at least March before there's enough of the vaccine to begin inoculating everyone else. And then there's the challenge of getting them on board.
It does concern me because, I don't know what I'm allergic to, for the most part.
Sorry, I'm not interested in it. We'll never take it off of my dead body.
This looks like a group of people that gets that this is a phony pandemic. You stand up against tyranny. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for saying no to the insanity.
Today, supporters of the man many blame for letting the virus run wild gathered to protest the failure of his last-ditch effort to overturn the election result.
We the people cannot accept communism in this great country. Revolution! Revolution!
The Supreme Court, which includes 3 justices Trump installed, has slapped Texas down over its bid to challenge the results in 4 battleground states.
I always tell people, the courts aren't going to decide who the next president of the United States is going to be. We the people decide.
Yeah, and the people decided Joe Biden is the next US president. So as tensions in DC escalate again, is there at least some relief that one of the country's ailments is finally being treated?
Well, in these worrying times, we've been crossing to our mate Hyla in the US as much on COVID as we have on entertainment. He joins us now. Hyla, what's the feeling around the vaccine there in Los Angeles where you are?
Well, first, I noticed it hit me hearing you talk about the United States being one of the worst places in the world. It's so interesting to get a perspective outside of my US bubble. So that kind of took me back a little bit, but it's true. I think with the vaccine, most people feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's polling that shows 60% of Americans said they'll definitely take it. Another 30% say they most likely will take it. I think any type of hesitation or reluctance is just something that's a wait and see. Once we start seeing medical professionals and frontline workers take it, once we know that there's supposed to be something close to 50 million doses going out in the next couple months, and we see that people are fine and there's no crazy adverse reactions, I would suspect that even more people are going to want to get on board. But something to keep in mind, and this is something our head health professionals like Dr. Fauci have said, the vaccine isn't a switch. It doesn't mean that automatically here in America things can get back to normal again. I mean, we should still be wearing masks throughout the year. Even if you get half the population vaccinated, that's still a lot of people who are not. And there might be this false sense of security that we can go back to normal, we can gather like we used to, and then you could see infection rates going up again while half the population is vaccinated. And what is that going to do for people mentally? I still think there's a lot of road ahead to see what's going to happen in 2021.
Hyla, sadly, it must be at the point now where this tragedy has touched pretty much everybody there. How are you and your family and friends going?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just saw a statistic today that 1 in every 1,100 Americans have died. So at some point now, you probably know somebody. I have a dear friend whose grandmother passed. I have another friend who was in the ICU. He wishes he could have pressed a button to end his life. He said the pain was the worst that he's ever felt. And he's a young guy. He's like my age. He works out. He's in really great shape. And there's, also the long haul, what people are calling. Yes, only, 1% or less than 1% die. But there's a lot of people who get COVID and have long lasting impacts to their body. So, we're definitely not out of the woods yet. And it's starting to impact people on a personal level.
Yeah. And there's been more clashes on the streets tonight between far right and left wing groups, including reports of at least 4 stabbings. What do you think when you see this stuff?
I mean, you're seeing the extreme parts of our politics coming together. And I would like to say that it's just the extreme, but it's being fueled by the man at the top. It's being fueled by Donald Trump. I mean, he's an extreme, but at the same time, he's also the head of a party. And he's bringing people in the government along with him, you know, casting doubt on the election, despite the fact that there's zero evidence of any widespread fraud. You've had multiple court cases missing anything that even comes close, even the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, yet he's still defiant, and his backers are still saying that there's a chance. You know, I think most of the country is exhausted. We're exhausted with COVID. We're exhausted with politics. We're going into the holidays. A lot of people are zoning this stuff out, but I think there's clearly damage that's going to be done long-term to the country.
Yeah, just looking at those images there, Hyla, that's not the America that we all know and love. We really appreciate your insight, though, tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, the vaccine is great news for Americans, though some people have found reasons not to take it.
That the vaccines are full of poison. It's the cocktail of poison to the point that we're going to be destroyed slowly but surely. It will kill people, and if not, it will destroy your DNA, and you'll become part of like a transhuman because they're putting nanoparticles into it.
Whoa, okay. And that was the PR spokesperson for, let me just check my notes. Coronavirus. Yes,
well, she certainly delivered.
From expert opinions to in-depth analysis and reporting, the Project YouTube brings you the biggest stories from Australia and around the globe. Hit the subscribe button now for news delivered straight to your feed.